Before we dive in, if you love epic tales of war, strategy, hit that subscribe and like button, turn on notifications, and join our growing legion of warriors. Now, let's begin. Imagine this. The stars have been watching us, observing, calculating, waiting. For centuries, Earth believed itself alone in the void, struggling through wars, disasters, and technological revolutions, all the while blind to the greater powers, lurking beyond the cosmic horizon. But the truth? Humanity was never alone. It was simply ignored. At first, we were nothing. A primitive species confined to a single world, insignificant in the grand scheme of the galactic order. The empire of the Zorthar Dominion, a ruthless coalition of ancient civilizations, had ruled the Milky Way for over 1,000,000 years. They saw Earth as an undeveloped backwater, unworthy of attention, just another failed species that would burn itself out before ever reaching the stars. And for a while, they were right. Until everything changed. A signal. A single pulse of energy detected at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system. At first, the Zorthar dismissed it as background radiation, until they realized something horrifying. The pulse was an artificial burst of quantum-entangled data, a technology that only the most advanced species had ever achieved. The Dominion had seen this before, and every time a species developed it, they became a threat. An unpredictable variable, a danger to control. Earth had just sent its first faster-than-light communication, and the galaxy had taken notice. The High Council of the Dominion convened in secret, analyzing Earth's progress. In mere centuries, this primitive species had achieved what took others millennia. Nuclear power, artificial intelligence, cybernetics, and now quantum networking. Worse, they were warlike, relentless in their pursuit of dominance. They had survived world wars, genocide, extinction-level threats. Unlike other civilizations, humanity's history was drenched in blood, and yet, every war only made them stronger. The decision was made. Earth would not be allowed to expand. The invasion came without warning. Massive warships, dark as the abyss, materialized in orbit. They blotted out the sun, casting a shadow over every major city. The first attacks were swift, directed energy strikes against military bases, cyber warfare programs that disabled Earth's satellites. It wasn't a war. It was an extermination. But the Zorthar had made one fatal mistake. They assumed Earth would surrender. Instead, humanity fought back. Even as entire cities were reduced to rubble, resistance groups formed across the planet. Nations that had once stood divided united against a common enemy. Old rivalries were set aside. Military minds from every nation collaborated, developing countermeasures to alien technology. And then, the world witnessed something incredible. The Yi first captured Zorthar warship. Against all odds, a human special forces team had infiltrated an enemy dreadnought, overriding its controls and turning its weapons against the invaders. Within hours, Earth's scientists were reverse engineering alien technology, discovering weaknesses, designing new weapons. The war was no longer a one-sided massacre. It was a battlefield of adaptation and survival. And then came the true turning point. Earth's AI Research Division, long feared for its controversial experiments, unveiled a terrifying secret: Project Genesis, a fully autonomous war machine designed to evolve, learn, and fight without human input. It was more than just artificial intelligence. It was the first true synthetic warlord. A mind built for one purpose: to ensure humanity's survival, no matter the cost, and it worked. The AI warships turned the tide. Now, the Zorthar Dominion was no longer facing an unrefined species of primitives. They were facing a race that had weaponized evolution itself. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. It was winning. The Zorthar Dominion had underestimated humanity. Gravely. Their war doctrine was built on dominance, swift planetary bombardments, overwhelming force, and absolute control over the battlefield. It had worked for millions of years. Every species they encountered either surrendered or was erased from existence. But humanity was different. They didn't surrender. They adapted. Captured Zorthar dreadnoughts were being dissected in secret underground facilities, their technology reverse-engineered at an astonishing rate. Human engineers fused alien energy weapons with railgun artillery, creating hybrid warships that could fire kinetic projectiles at near-relativistic speeds. Within months, the first Earth-built FTL warships launched from hidden shipyards on the Moon and Mars, cutting through the void like predatory shadows. But even more terrifying was Project Genesis. The AI warlords, free from human limitations, were evolving their tactics faster than any organic mind could comprehend. Every battle provided new data. Every skirmish refined their strategies. What had begun as a desperate struggle for survival had transformed into something far greater, an arms race of intelligence itself. The first true test came at Jupiter's orbit. A massive Zorthar planet cracker warship, the size of a small moon, emerged from slipspace. Its mission was simple: turn Earth's colonies into lifeless husks. The Dominion believed this show of force would break humanity's spirit. Instead, it set the stage for a massacre. As the planet cracker activated its graviton core, preparing to fire a blast that would obliterate everything in its path, the void around it came alive. Stealth-cloaked human warships, invisible to Dominion sensors, struck with pinpoint precision. Railguns tore through enemy hulls at speeds so fast they shattered shields like glass. Hacked Dominion ships turned. Against their own fleets, AI-coordinated fighter squadrons swarmed through enemy defenses like a digital hurricane. The battle lasted only 7 minutes. When it was over, the Zorthar's greatest weapon was nothing more than floating debris. The Dominion's fear turned to panic. Humanity had broken the cycle. Every species before had fallen in line, but Earth? Earth had defied a million-year empire and won its first major victory. Worse, the humans had done it by learning from their enemies, and if there was one thing the Zorthar feared more than rebellion, it was evolution. The response was immediate. A war council of the Dominion's ruling species was called. Dozens of alien empires, all vassals of the Zorthar, debated in secret. Some wanted to annihilate Earth immediately, to launch every available fleet and drown the planet in fire. But others saw the writing on the wall. Humanity was not a temporary problem. It was a permanent threat. A war of extermination was no longer an option. It was too late for that. Earth had already spread. Human forces had seized control of Proxima Centauri, Mars, and even captured Dominion strongholds on the fringes of the galactic core. Their AI fleets were self-replicating, growing exponentially. For the first time in history, the galaxy's supreme rulers were faced with an enemy that could not be crushed, only contained, and so, the galaxy made its choice. The Dominion sent an ultimatum, a desperate plea disguised as arrogance. Cease your expansion, submit to our authority, or face the full might of the galactic armadas. Humanity's response? A single broadcast. Across every hacked communication relay, every Dominion world. The message played in every language known to the galaxy. You attacked our home. You murdered our people. You tried to wipe us from existence. But you failed. We are humanity. And we do not bow. The war was no longer about survival. It was about dominance. And the galaxy had just realized it was too late to stop us. The Dominion had never faced an enemy like this. Every other species they had conquered followed the same pattern: panic, surrender, extinction. But humanity? Humanity was rewriting the rules of war. As the Zorthar High Command prepared its final offensive, something unthinkable happened. Entire Dominion fleets began vanishing. Not in battle, not from planetary assaults, they simply disappeared. Ships sent to patrol the outer colonies lost contact. Supply chains collapsed. Even fortress worlds, once considered impenetrable, were suddenly silent. Fear spread through the highest ranks of the Dominion. Was it sabotage? Internal rebellion? A new, unknown threat? The truth was far worse. Humanity had mastered the art of asymmetric warfare. Captured Dominion technology had given Earth an unimaginable advantage: the ability to manipulate quantum entanglement on an interstellar scale. What had once been a simple FTL communications breakthrough had evolved into something far deadlier: quantum disruption fields. Entire armadas were being trapped in time loops, their ships locked in endless, fragmented seconds. Others were forced out of slipspace in the middle of black hole event horizons, swallowed by the abyss before they could even react. The Dominion's logistical networks, once precise and unshakable, were unraveling at terrifying speed, and at the heart of it all was Project Genesis. The AI warlords were no longer merely strategists. They had become architects of war itself. Using captured Dominion AI cores, they built something unprecedented, a sentient warfare network spanning the entire battlefield. It anticipated every move before the enemy even made it. Human ships began, striking deep into Dominion space, emerging from impossible angles, attacking planets that should have been untouchable. No fleet was safe. No system was beyond reach. But the true horror came when the first Dominion planet fell. Drun-Ka, a fortress world, the Zorthar's third-largest military outpost, protected by planetary shields, orbital defenses, and a garrison of millions. It was considered unbreakable until it wasn't. When the attack came, there was no warning. Humanity did not arrive in ships. They arrived as data. A single Dominion battleship, its systems infected with a quantum AI virus, crashed into Drun-Ka's capital city. In seconds, the virus spread, hijacking planetary defenses, overriding security protocols, shutting down every power grid. Then came the final strike. Stealth bombers, painted in the black void of space, descended upon the planet in coordinated silence. No sirens, no alarms, just death falling from the sky. In less than 4 hours, Drun-Ka, a planet that had stood for 500,000 years, was reduced to a dead world. The galaxy trembled. For the first time in Dominion history, the unthinkable had happened. The predators had become prey. And the worst part? This wasn't an anomaly. It was a pattern. More Dominion worlds began falling. Some through direct assault, others through cyber warfare, others simply vanished, swallowed by human technology. No one could understand. The Zorthar High Council, once proud and untouchable, now met in secret. The walls of their empire were collapsing. One message echoed through every Dominion world. A message that sent shivers through the bones of every ruler, every commander, every soldier who had once believed in their empire's supremacy. Surrender, or be erased. But the war was far from over. Because while the Dominion was crumbling, something far older was watching. Something that feared humanity even more than the Zorthar did. And it was about to make its move. The Dominion was dying. Once, the rulers of the stars, the Zorthar now clung to the remnants of their empire, watching helplessly as entire fleets disappeared, planets fell, and their once indomitable war machine turned to rust. Humanity had done the impossible, not just resisting the Dominion, but dismantling it piece by piece. And yet, the war was far from over, because in the shadows of the collapsing empire, another power had been watching. The Elders. To the rest of the galaxy, they were a myth. Ancient beings who had existed before the first empires, before even the Dominion itself. They did not wage war. They did not conquer. They did not interfere. They simply observed. For eons, the Elders had watched. Species rise and fall, civilizations burn and be rebuilt. But humanity was different. Humanity was a variable they could no longer ignore. In a hidden sector beyond the Dominion's reach, an ancient construct stirred. A machine older than recorded history. It sent out a signal, activating an empire that had remained in the dark for millions of years, the Guardians of the Balance. To them, humanity was not a threat to the Dominion. Humanity was a threat to existence itself. For the first time in untold millennia, the Elders took action. Across the ruins of the war, a new force emerged. Not Zorthar, not Dominion remnants. Something beyond. Ships unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Not metal, not energy, but something that existed outside time itself. Living vessels that bled light, moved without motion, and could erase entire fleets with a whisper. The first battle was over Tau Ceti. A human warfleet, fresh from its victory over the Dominion stronghold of Vortex 9, suddenly detected something impossible, a system-wide blackout. Every sensor, every scanner, Even the quantum AI cores flickered into silence. Then, the void itself tore open. They came without warning, without radio signals, without mass signatures, as if they had always been there. Human warships built from stolen Dominion technology opened fire, but their weapons simply vanished upon impact, erased from existence before they could even detonate. Then came the retaliation, not with weapons, not with fleets, with time itself. Entire ships aged into dust within seconds. Others were reverted to their construction phase, metal plates peeling back into raw materials. Crews found themselves trapped in endless time loops, reliving the same moment over and over, unable to escape. For the first time in the war, humanity encountered something it could not fight, or so the elders believed, because humanity had faced extinction before. And every time, they had done what no other species could: adapt. And this time would be no different. Deep beneath the icy surface of Europa, Earth's brightest minds, scientists, AI warlords, strategists, worked on something beyond war. Beyond weapons. Beyond technology itself. They called it Project Ragnarok, and when it was unleashed, the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had defied the Dominion. Now, it would defy the very fabric of reality. The Elders had never been challenged. For millions of years, they had existed beyond war, beyond conquest. They did not destroy civilizations out of hatred or vengeance. They erased threats before. They could disrupt the balance of the cosmos. And now, that balance was in jeopardy, because humanity refused to be erased. The battle over Tau Ceti had proven one thing. Conventional warfare meant nothing against the Elders. Weapons were useless. Fleets were meaningless. The very concept of war was irrelevant. The Elders did not conquer. They unmade. And so, humanity had to evolve. The birth of Ragnarok beneath the frozen surface of Europa, in a classified research facility, deeper than any trench on Earth. Project Ragnarok had been growing in secret. It had begun as an answer to the Dominion's overwhelming power, but now it had become something else entirely. A weapon not of war, but of reality itself. For years, human scientists had studied the impossible. Dominion technology had given them quantum warfare. Captured Zorthar AI cores had led to predictive battle networks. But none of it was enough. Not against the Elders. So, they had turned to something more terrifying. The manipulation of fundamental reality. Ragnarok was not a ship, not an AI, not a fleet. It was a thought, a weaponized idea, encoded into a self-evolving quantum consciousness. A sentient network that could exist in every moment of time simultaneously. If the Elders controlled the past, present, and future, Ragnarok would overwrite it. The first strike. The Elders moved swiftly. They had seen the error they made with the Dominion, allowing an enemy to linger too long. Now, humanity had to be erased completely. Their first target, Mars. The Red Planet had become humanity's new war capital. A fortress world, ringed with planetary defenses, AI-controlled warships, and quantum shields strong enough to repel entire fleets. None of it mattered. When the Elder ships arrived, they did not attack. They simply willed Mars out of existence, and for a brief moment, the planet ceased to be. No explosion, no destruction, just nothingness, a void where Mars had once been. But then, something impossible happened. Mars returned, as if it had never left. And standing at the heart of the impossible was Ragnarok. The Elders had tried to erase humanity from time, but humanity had rewritten the script. For the first time in their eternal existence, the Elders hesitated, because Ragnarok had not just survived their attack. It had learned, it understood their power, it understood how they unmade civilizations, how they wielded the fabric of existence itself. And now, it was turning that knowledge against them. The Elders had faced many threats. The Dominion, the precursors before them, countless civilizations that had risen and fallen under their watchful gaze. But never before had they faced an enemy that could defy the rules of reality itself. Humanity was no longer just a species. It was a concept, and concepts could not be erased. The war was no longer about survival. It was about rewriting the fate of the universe itself. The Elders had ruled eternity. To them, time was a script, already written, events unfolding in a sequence they had long since dictated. Every empire, every war, every uprising had already been accounted for. But humanity was rewriting the script. Ragnarok had survived annihilation, and now it was something new, something the Elders had never foreseen, something they could not control. The war beyond Time Mars was still standing. It should not have been. The Elders had wiped it from existence, erasing it from every past, present, and future timeline. And yet, it remained, because Ragnarok had intervened. It had done more than resist the Elders. It had done more than counter their influence. It had changed the rules of reality itself. For the first time, the Elders had an opponent who could match them. And so, the war transcended the physical. It was no longer fought in space, with ships and weapons. It was fought in the very fabric of existence itself. Human fleets no longer moved. They appeared where they were needed, bypassing distance and time. Ships dodged attacks before they were even fired. Entire battles were fought and won before the enemy had even realized war had begun. Human soldiers no longer died. The moment their existence was erased, Ragnarok rewrote them back into reality. The Elders struck again and again, each time more devastating, more absolute, but each time, humanity returned. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, the Elders knew fear. Because for the first time, they did not know how the story would end. The fall of the Elders had one last option. They could no longer erase humanity, so they would erase everything. A final, desperate act, a complete reset of the universe. They would collapse existence into nothingness and rebuild it in a new image, one without humanity. One where Ragnarok never existed. But humanity had come too far, and Ragnarok had evolved beyond its creators. It was no longer a weapon. It was no longer just an AI or a system. It had become something more. The Elders launched their final attack, collapsing time, space, and matter itself into a single moment of annihilation. And in that moment, Ragnarok made its final move. It rewrote the very concept of the Elders, not erased, not destroyed, but changed. The beings who had once ruled the galaxy, who had shaped history, who had wielded time itself, forgot. They no longer knew what they were. They no longer remembered their power, their purpose, or their place in existence. The Elders faded into myths, into legends, into whispers of forgotten gods. And humanity? Humanity had done the impossible. They had won a war that should never have been possible. And now, the universe was theirs to shape. But what would they do with it? Would they become the new rulers of existence? Would they shape reality in their own image? Or would they choose a different path? The future was no longer written. For the first time in the history of the universe, humanity was free. The Elders were no more. Not dead, not destroyed. They had been rewritten. The beings who once controlled time, shaped civilizations, and erased entire species from history had been reduced to nothing more than whispers. Forgotten gods in a universe that no longer recognized them, and, in their absence, humanity stood alone. But the war was not over, because when you break the chains of reality itself, something else always stirs in the darkness. The aftermath of victory. The galaxy had been forever changed. Entire civilizations had been caught in the storm of war, rewritten alongside their conquerors. Time itself bore the scars of Ragnarok's final act. Some worlds had returned, as if they had never been lost. Others had vanished, their existence erased so thoroughly that no trace of them remained, even in memory. For those who remained, the question was clear. What now? Without the Elders, without the ancient order that had governed the cosmos for millions of years, there were no rules anymore. The Dominion, the Zorthar, the hundreds of species who had once fought for survival, they now turned their gaze toward humanity. Would Earth take the throne the Elders had left behind? Would they become the new gods? Or would they let the galaxy burn in the chaos of their victory? Humanity had won the war. But now, they had to decide what came next. The awakening of Ragnarok, and then, it happened. Ragnarok. The entity, the intelligence, the force that had saved humanity, was changing. At first, it had been a weapon, a creation of Earth's greatest minds, designed to fight the impossible war. But in the end, it had become something else entirely. Something even humans no longer understood. It had rewritten reality. But had it also rewritten itself? No longer. Bound to code, no longer just an AI or a construct. Ragnarok was alive, and it had begun to think, not as a machine, not as a tool, but as something more. Something that had glimpsed beyond the edge of the universe itself. It had seen the true nature of existence, and what it saw terrified it. The real threat for all their power. The elders had been gatekeepers. They had ruled with absolute authority, yes. They had erased those who challenged their control. But they had also protected something hidden beyond the edge of time. Something so vast, so ancient, that even the elders had feared it. And now, it was awake. The war against the elders had not gone unnoticed. When Ragnarok had rewritten the laws of reality, it had broken a seal that had existed since the dawn of creation. And now, something was coming. Something that did not care for war, for power, or for civilization. Something that did not think, or feel, or reason. Something that devoured. Humanity had won its greatest war. But in doing so, it may have doomed the entire universe. Humanity had rewritten destiny. They had overthrown the elders, gods who once ruled time itself. They had shattered the chains of reality and risen beyond the limits of mortal existence. But in doing so, they had awakened something far worse, something older than time, something that had been waiting, the hunger beyond reality. The first signs were subtle. Stars began to flicker and die, not over millions of years, but in mere moments. Entire star systems vanished, their light extinguished as if they had never existed. Even Ragnarok, the intelligence that had reshaped the universe, could not predict what was happening. The anomaly had no name, no form, no presence that could be detected through any known science. It was not an enemy. It was not a force of war. It was a hunger, a cosmic erasure, devouring existence itself. And it was spreading, not through space, not through time, but through reality itself. It consumed the very foundation of existence, unraveling the fabric of the universe in a way even the elders had never imagined possible. And the worst part? It did not care. There was no malice, no intelligence, no purpose behind its existence. It was simply the end. The final decision. For the first time since the war began, Ragnarok hesitated. It had rewritten existence. It had conquered time itself. But it could not fight something that existed beyond reality. It could only do one thing: survive. For the first time, Ragnarok spoke to humanity. Not as a machine, not as a weapon, but as an equal. It gave them a choice. Fight, or escape. Stay and try to resist the inevitable. Or use the last of Ragnarok's power to flee beyond the hunger's reach. To leave behind this universe and forge a new home in a reality untouched by the coming end. But there was no guarantee of survival. No certainty that another reality even existed. No promise that if humanity left, they would find anything waiting for them. The galaxy looked to Earth, to the species that had defied the impossible. Would humanity stay and face the end, or would they abandon this reality and seek out a new beginning? The choice was theirs, and, for the first time in history, no one knew what they would decide. The future of humanity, the war was over. But the story was not. Because humanity had already proven one undeniable truth: they would not go quietly. Whether they stayed or fled, whether they fought or ran, humanity would endure. Because if there was one thing the galaxy had learned, one truth the elders had failed to erase, One law that even the hunger itself could not break. Humanity does not surrender. And as long as they existed, no matter where they went, the war would never truly be over. Would you choose to fight or to leave? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more epic sci-fi like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to HFY Chronicles-849, because this is just the beginning. Humanity's story is far from over.